Yo guys, what's going on? LifeOfRio here, and I'm bringing you guys a full mag guide. I know finally so many people's been asking for an updated mag build and how I use her currently, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys what works with her, what weapons are best with her for end game purposes, and just little small things that you may have not known with a build that's going to be included. Now in this run, what I was doing, I was testing out the new augment, which is for her Magnetize ability, which is Magnetize Discharge, and I have to say the augment is actually really amazing. Now it just depends on how your playstyle is set up and how you like to use things. Now, you know, I try to be as creative as possible, and I try to see different scenarios to where this can be fit into. Now I see a lot of different scenarios versus Corpus versus Grenier. It's actually a really great augment. Now, you're not going to really use something like this versus Infested, so let's get that out the way first and foremost. Now, the thing about this build on what goes with Mag so well, the changes, one is her quality of life changed to where when she casts her abilities, she can actually roll out of it. It gives her a lot more survivability, makes it a lot more efficient for you to go into missions and actually to do solos. Now, what's going on here is that with this one, we all know that the nullifiers can pop Mag's bubble. I'm going to be showing you guys some instances to where you can use this to your advantage. Now, what a lot of you may have not known about Mag is that after the nerf to her Magnetize to where like the nullifiers can pop your bubble, what basically happens now is that if you hurry up and actually kill the enemy inside of the bubble and let the nullifiers pop it with the Magnetize Discharge on, it actually turns out to be amazing for you because it creates instant CC to go around and disarm targets for you. Now when you're using Magnetize Discharge, what you want to do is basically make sure that you keep up as many bubbles as possible. Now there used to be a force pop bubble that I used to do, but it really doesn't work too well with the Magnetize augment, so I'll show you guys different instances to how this can also work with a different generalized setup. Now with this one, the disarm is actually really good. I'm not even gonna lie. Now this is where I was testing to see if it was only enemies inside the bubble, but the good thing is actually enemies outside of the bubble. So I've done a lot of testing with that, and you can hit enemies outside of the bubble. Now the best thing with Mag, I would say, is to have a sentinel with a radiation weapon. No other weapon on your sentinel other than radiation. One, it creates CC purposes for you to actually stay sustained in missions. Your sentinel is always going to be shooting, so that gives instances to where Mag can actually survive and enemies not pay attention to her. Plus radiation inside the Magnetized bubble actually do substantial damage. Now as far as melee, as you guys know, I use the Zenny Star a lot. If you don't have the Zenny Star, the Orthos Prime is amazing, because what's going to happen is that all the slash and all the viral that I have on this build is actually going to do the times multiplier of what your Magnetize is inside of the bubble and make you do ridiculous amount of damage. And as you guys can see, this is it with the Zenny Star. Now with Mag, her best weapon for what you want to use, now listen here, this is going to be her best weapons for if you're doing long runs. The turret is going to be #1 for Mag, and these weapons that I'm choosing to let you guys know is going to be for CC purposes because you need CC at the same time. Now the other one that's going to be on the list is the Czar, and what happens is that those enemies inside of the bubble, they get knocked down as soon as you shoot on the inside. So what that does for you, if you're using Magnetized Discharge, you can actually use it again once you're aiming at that same enemy, and once you press the button again, those enemies are going to be disarmed. And now it takes 2 casts to completely disarm an entire crowd once you hit that radius. So it depends on how far your explosion goes. So if you create a really huge explosion and go let it go out and just hit everybody, you can be disarming everybody like Loki on the map, because the range on this move is actually ridiculous. And it's not just the range of the bubble, it's the explosion radius at the end that goes all out. There's instances to where it doesn't hit behind walls, and there's times when it does, so it's pretty inconsistent. I've been testing with that as well, but overall super strong augment. I really like it. I would say versus Grenier, you can go with or without it, because Grenier, you're going to be using a lot of duration. Mag is the strongest for going up against Grenier. Now this augment versus Corpus, you would not think it works because Mag's weakest faction as of right now is Corpus, and it turns out to be really great with Corpus. You just have to know how to work around it. Just kill one enemy in the map, in the bubble, and then it completely explodes if nullifiers touch it or not. Now the other thing that goes into this as well is the Pox. The Pox is hands down the best secondary that you would need to use with Mag. It's just too fast. What the Pox does is that it supercharges the bubble for you, and once it supercharges the bubble, the enemies completely get wrecked on the inside and then it explodes. Now this is an instances to where I'm showing you that if an enemy doesn't die, what happens is with the augment is that it creates CC purposes for you to where those enemies don't die, and you can actually have a longer sustained mission because they're now disarmed. I was currently thinking that if the enemies are disarmed, it's going to lessen your damage, but with the current weapons that I'm using, it doesn't really matter because the Pox is going to do scaling damage also, and then the Torrid also does the same. Now the Pox and the Torrid, the reason why the Pox is a little bit quicker on DPS is just because of the fire rate and how everything else goes with this weapon. You can get the damage out a lot faster than the Torrid just because of the reload, but if your Torrid has really fast reload on it, then it's completely amazing. Now the other thing that goes into this one is that the Pox takes 3 shots to completely supercharge the bubble. Once the bubble is supercharged, it's completely going to go off even without a kill. Now remember, Mag's bubble does not go off without a kill, but if you supercharge it, which the Pox does for you with the clouds, it's definitely going to explode. Also, another thing that goes into this is that it just works completely amazing against all factions, and I really love it. Now this is the build. It's a 3-former build, and the thing about this build is that with this one it has a 123% duration. This is completely Grineer. Now if you swap out enemy sense and you put in Magnetize Discharge, you can actually use this build against all factions. Now against Grineer, you want as much duration as possible. Against Infested, you want as much duration as possible. Against Corpus, you want smaller duration because you want the quick times explosion, which is this right here, config C. I dropped my duration down to 65%, and as you guys can see, I'm not using my arcane helm in the video just so I can show you guys a correct representation of how the build really is for you if you don't have the arcane helm, because I know a lot of people don't have it. Now greedy pool is very substantial. I would say take out greedy pool. It just depends on your playstyle, and put in Discharge Magnetize. Discharge Magnetize is definitely one of my favorite go-to right now, and it's really doing a great job with actually keeping up survivability, disarming big bombers that's out there, and it's doing a great job with helping out Mag's kit overall, and I'm really liking it. So if you guys are liking it in the comment section, definitely let me know. Now a lot of things that actually goes into this as well is that if you're playing against Grineer, you're going to switch out your shield, which is your redirection, and you're definitely going to put on vitality just because the napalms and the slash over time. So that's a lot of different things that goes into that as well. So Mag, how am I feeling about Mag currently in this current meta on how she's performing? Is she outdated? Does she need more fixes? Now the thing that I would say is that her second ability, which is Magnetize, should not be a skill shot aim. I think that they should definitely make it an AoE aim like Equinox's night form with the sleep. All you got to do is point in an area and that area gets put to sleep, and I think that's what should happen with the Magnetize as well, is that you point in that area and whoever's closest actually gets hit with the Magnetize. But overall I think it's great. The fact that you can supercharge it. Now Reddit, not Reddit, but the wiki is actually incorrect still when it comes to Magnetize, because Magnetize, one thing about it is that it says that the supercharging and everything else like that have changed. I've tested it with beam weapons, the Quanta Vandal, and you can still supercharge it without killing any enemy, and you can still get the explosion to go off, which is something that they should have changed. Well, what they said they have changed, but it still currently works. So if you guys are really liking Mag, I think that you should still play her. She's very good. It just depends on your playstyle. Now remember, best weapon for her is going to be the Czar, the Torrid, the Pox. That's hands down. The Orthos Prime or a whip type weapon is definitely something I would use. Radiation is a very strong thing, and I would definitely have it on my Sentinel at all times. Having it on your Sentinel really helps out with your survivability, as well as it adds to the DPS for you. As far as Sentinels to use, I would definitely say you can go Carrier, or if you don't go Carrier, then definitely Shade, because Shades help her out so well, and Mag does a great job. But Carrier really helps with the Pox survivability on ammo as far as that. And as far as I was saying, the quality of life change that they gave her to whenever you cast your abilities, you get the move, and that really saves her in high quality gameplay. Now another thing that I wanted to add is that the fourth ability with the stripping armor, there's no reason to do that, guys. That build is kind of like outdated. It really doesn't really help with Mag, and it really hurts against her kit because it's making you fight against her progression build and all. So stripping armor with Mag is not really that much of a big thing with using the fourth ability. Her fourth ability I still feel should just be changed. It's pretty subpar. And as far as everything else, I think she's just pretty good. Her one has a ridiculously great CC. Her second ability is really great on how you can use it as well. And the second ability is CC, it's damage, it's just every single thing that she needs. It's her survivability, it's defense at the same time. So they really put a lot of work into her second ability, and they kind of really still pushed her to be in a second ability frame, a press 1 to win. But this press 1 just has so many different functionalities in it. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I hope that you guys enjoy basically on how I'm using my mag currently. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and let me know if you guys are still playing mag in the current meta, or just period, if you're loving mag. How many formers do you have on her? One thing that I would also say is that as far as aura mods go, if I was to remove rejuvenation is just there to fight against my Grenier type playstyle. I think I might remove rejuvenation and put in speed holster. Speed holster on mag is really freaking amazing, and I'm really starting to love it. So that's one thing that I might start doing, is put in speed holster. So let me know what you guys' current builds are. Are you liking mag? Remember, mag versus Corpus, you can go with shorter, you go with negative duration. Negative duration is going to make the explosion goes off quicker, unless you're so you don't have to use the second ability. And remember, when the explosion goes off, even if you don't use even if you don't re-detonate it, what's going to happen is that those enemies are still going to be disarmed. So that's a good way to fight against the Corpus faction. Also, versus Grenier, go as much duration as possible, but remember, you still need range to disarm it. What's going to happen with Grenier, if you don't use the augment, you're going to use your second ability if you're not using Magnetize Discharge. And once you're using the augment, what's going to happen with the augment is that the augment is going to stay up for a while. Whenever it goes away, you're disarming bombers and everything out there. And I know you're probably going to have some people in the comment section that's like, oh, well, why use mag when I can use Loki? Because she's a separate frame. What? But you know, you're always gonna have people that, you know, hate on this frame or that frame, because some people just don't like to admit that the frame just doesn't fit their playstyle and that they're not good with it. Because up to this day, a lot of people tell me that Loki's a better, you know, solo survival frame than Ashe. Yeah, but as always, guys, I'm dragging this on. I'm so sorry. I just had to give you guys those other tips that was on my mind. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and you guys have an amazing day. Guys, I wanted to say something real quick. Mag's Magnetize bubble, when you kill an enemy in the Magnetize, it says that you have, basically, let's create an instance that you have a 3.0 damage multiplier. Your weapon's damage is going to be doing that 3 times O damage multiplier. But what happens with the explosion is that 3 times O damage multiplier, for all the damage that you did to that enemy, that's going to go out in a radius and do an explosion. So once you kill that enemy in there, that enemy's health pool is actually going to be added into the Magnetized explosion. Also, another thing that goes into that is that the more enemies that you kill inside of that bubble is going to actually add to the pool of the explosion. That's why her DPS on her Magnetize is actually so insane, and I just had to get that out there. The video was already recorded, and I thought I put this part in there, but I didn't. So much love to you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys later.